Hi everyone, Fabian Deacon here. I'm not here to promote my readings. I've been doing my readings for the last couple of weeks now. I haven't really made too many videos because there's nothing really new to report. It's just the same shit over and over again. But I wanted to make this video today because not everybody is going to have access to Facebook or Twitter. So I made this video in honor of Targeted Individuals Day, which is apparently today on the 29th of August. So in honor of today, what I'm going to show you guys now is an article from the Eurasian Times. And the article is, this is the article right here. Defenseless against hypersonic missiles, the US Navy turns to faster and lethal DEWs to battle China and Russia. Top Admiral. So this is written by Sakshi Tiwari, and this was written yesterday. The US Navy is exploring the novel technology of directed energy weapons against the Chinese and Russian hypersonic weapons in the absence of a potent defense against these highly maneuverable missiles. The top admiral of the US Navy, Michael Gilday, stated that directed energy systems are being developed as a potential countermeasure against hypersonic missiles, calling the advancements made by Russia and China in hypersonic weapon technology a significant concern. Okay, hold on. So we've had, agents of the CIA come out and talk about Havana syndrome and talk about the fact that electronic weapons are being fired on their heads or their organs, causing them significant damage to their organs, right? So we've had CIA agents come out and talk about it, only for psychiatric doctors to come out and say that these weapons are just magical and they don't exist and they come straight out of Harry Potter. And now we have somebody in the US Navy turning around and saying, well, actually, no, they actually do exist. So which is it? On top of that, we know full well that this is not about Russia and China because plenty of people on our government's own turf have been harmed and murdered by these weapons. So we know that this isn't about the war. The war is just a distraction. The war is just a distraction away from what's really been going on, which is the fact that citizens have had directed energy weapons experimented on them. This is just a way to hide it. So imagine all the people that have been killed. Imagine all the people that have been murdered, not only through electronic torture of these directed energy weapons now that, now the US Navy are admitting have actually been used. Imagine how many people have been murdered by the electronic torture combined with the psychological distress that they've been caused in order to send them crazy enough to be discredited. Imagine how many people have been murdered by that, on top of the fact that they've taken psychiatric drugs or been forced to take psychiatric drugs that they don't need. On top of that, imagine the amount of people that are still living right now who have been tortured and continue to be tortured, who were right all along about these weapons. No fucking apology, no fucking acknowledgement, not for the people who are living and certainly not for the people who are murdered. I could be angry about it, but I don't see a point. I feel like this has been a valuable lesson for targeted individuals to just focus on ourselves, to just continue preaching to the choir. No talking to the masses, no trying to warn them about this shit, because that was time wasted that we could have focused on ourselves, getting ourselves together, making sure that we were able to withstand the financial, psychological, and physical health pressures that came with being a targeted individual. That was time wasted that we could have made sure we were looking after ourselves with. So this has been a valuable lesson for me to not tell the public jack shit. Let them find out on their own. Because at the end of the day, if they're not willing to believe anything that we say and we turn out to be right anyway, and when we are right, they're not going to acknowledge it and they're not going to apologize, fuck them. Imagine having the nerve as the US Navy, knowing that these weapons have been experimented on, you know, citizens, to the point where citizens have been murdered by them. Imagine having the nerve to do that and then trying to turn around and pass it off as it's China and Russia's fault. Everything that these nations have been doing have been in-house to their own citizens. There are targeted individuals in China. There are targeted individuals in Russia. Now, I don't give a fuck what these people are saying with regards to, you know, Russia's the only place safe for TIs. I don't buy that for one fucking second. There are targeted individuals all over this planet. And everything that is going on is happening in-house. There is no way in hell that foreign countries are going to be able to come in here and fire directed energy weapons on citizens without the express approval of the domestic government. There's no way that's happening. Absolutely no way. So yeah, I'm going to show you the article again. Yeah. Now we're turning to DEWs. The same DEWs that our government said were fiction. You're taking a piss. You're taking a piss. So we've had to put up with how many decades of our governments telling us that we're crazy and that egregious human rights violations. Tony, I've got to be real with you. That's being kind. That's being kind. Imagine the amount of people that have died trying to warn everybody about what's going on. Which means I was right in what I was saying all along. How is it that somebody, because the thing is, years ago when I was talking about this stuff, I was actually sick. I was mentally sick. I was a lot sicker than I am now. Imagine being sick and having more sense than most of the people around you. I warned everybody what was going to happen. All TIs warned everybody what was going to happen. We warned everybody that these neighbors that were psychologically harassing us did it in a bid to fucking cover up for directed energy weapons used against us, which means they were complicit in our torture and complicit in our murder. We warned everybody what was going on. And they weren't even just complicit in our murder. They were complicit in each other's as well. Because once we're out of the way, they will get rid of anybody who was on their side that does not fit with their image or does not fit with what they're trying to accomplish. It never stops with us. It never stops with us. Let me read what Tony's been saying. Definitely an understatement. Words can't even describe how fucked up this is. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because if I don't laugh, it's not even that I want to cry. It's not. I'm kind of past that now, but it's just like, wow, people are really that negligent that they would rather literally let people die than accept the truth of what's going on, even when the evidence is right in front of them. I know you were being serious. It's a serious situation. Egregious human rights have been committed, not to mention fucking treason by God knows how many people in the same country as us. Treason, murder, genocide. Tony, there are no words. There are absolutely no words. There are no words for this. The amount of people who have died already from cancer being fired at with these fucking weapons. And Wi-Fi has assisted in these weapons being used, or these weapons being, having, amplified effectiveness. The Wi-Fi has definitely played a part in that as well, because they needed the Wi-Fi to more accurately pinpoint our location. 5G. It's now I did say that our governments would find a way to reframe it. Again, I said that years ago when I was really, really sick. I said that our governments would find a way to reframe everything that, they've been doing to us with the directed energy weaponry, with the blacklisting. The blacklisting was reframed. Do you remember when COVID started? People were encouraged to report anybody who was breaking COVID rules. That was a way of reframing the neighborhood harassment that we were experiencing. And now the DEWs that we've been tortured with, that's being reframed as something to use against the Russians and the Chinese. Now, there was one TI who told me, why would anybody bother with missiles when they have DEWs? I should have predicted this. I should have seen this coming. I really should have seen this coming. But nah. You know what I mean? I didn't see it coming at all. Like, I knew what was going to happen, but I didn't know how. So I didn't foresee that the US government would be this obvious and say, yeah, we've had directed energy weapons all along, basically, and we're going to turn around and use it against China and Russia. Havana syndrome, really think about it. Cuba, I don't know if Cuba's still communist or not. But I know that China and Russia used to be communist. So there's this whole there's this interlink between the current diversity movement and communism. So both of those things are being vilified, like at the same time that China and Russia are being represented as the big bad in our culture. So it's slowly but surely being interwoven. And with that, for the longest time, by calling our injuries from directed energy weapons Havana syndrome, I don't blame you. Hey, babes. Targeted Individual 2013 just joined me. Targeted Tony 2.0. I don't give a fuck if an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Let the whole world fucking go blind then. It's the CIA. I agree. This is exactly what we've been saying. It's the CIA. It's been them all along. It's been them all along. The CIA and the SIS. It's been those motherfuckers the whole time. The Five Eyes too. It's been the Five Eyes. Like fucking US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand. It's been the Five Eyes the whole fucking time. And they're attaching it to communist countries in order to throw people off, calling out injuries, that the dissolved organs and all that type of stuff. I'm gonna read that in a minute. These people are coming up with some good. Listen, the information these people are coming up with, I'm gonna screenshot it because you guys need to see this. Everything that they're saying is on point right now. Everything that they're saying is on point. I'm going to show you guys this on my Twitter and Facebook because everything that they're saying is on point. So, yes, it is the CIA. Yes, it is the Five Eyes. Yes, it is SIS or MI6. Yes, it is, public security like the FBI and MI5. And yes, it is third-party private security contractors. Yes, it is them too. And yes, it is fucking anything to do with neighborhood watch or community control. Yes, it is all of that. Yes, it is. All of these people have been facilitating in genocide the entire time. And they're like right in front of their face. We've been telling them what's going on because they've been surveying our social media. They've been surveying everything that we've been doing. And they really, really thought that we were just going to rant about this and nothing was going to come of it. Nobody was going to confess to any of this shit. Like, how are you guys looking now? It's one thing to look fucking stupid, but it's another to look like a thoroughly rotten person. So yes, they're all involved. They're all involved. They're always blaming everyone else when it's our own government. That's what they do, though. That's what they do. It gets darker than that as well. I've lost faith in God due to this program. You know what? You can lose faith in whatever you want, just as long as you don't lose faith in yourself. You're stronger than you think. And thank you. Yeah, you've always spoken the truth. Yeah, yeah, you too. You too. You've always cut right through the bullshit. And I admire you for that, Tony. Um, yeah, so yeah. It gets really dark as well. And now there's a backlash against academia and against reading now. I know how arrogant and fucking easily led middle class people are, especially when they're academic. But also this pushback against academia, what do you think happens when you get an increasingly militarized society with more defense weapons being out in the open, and you get a population that is, decreasing in cultural knowledge and decreasing in overall education? Like, what do you think you get out of that mixture? You get overzealous idiots who believe in whatever they're told, as long as it's countercultural and as long as it backs up people maintaining the wealth. So it gets so much darker when you think about everything that's been going on and what it's led to. Racism has been further enhanced because of this program. Sexism has been further enhanced because of this program. Queerphobia has been enhanced because of this program. Like every single type of bigotry you can think of has been reinforced thanks to this program. On top of all the murder and genocide that's been going on, every single bias and every single form of discrimination, gang stalking has facilitated it, not only facilitated it, exaggerated it, and literally, it's been literally exploited to the point where people are literally tortured over that bigoted shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope Tony doesn't mind that I read this out. He's saying some really hurtful stuff that's happened to him and his family. So just trigger warning, I'm about to talk about essay and the R word, okay? So my sister has been R since I've been in this program by perps. They rubbed it in my face, hoping they would send me over the edge or to commit a mass shooting. I've been through so much trauma. The truth is, the main puppet masters behind this don't even view us as their human counterparts. Yeah. So this is from Tony. This is what Tony's been through. And also he's been through a number of physical maladies with regards to this directed energy weaponry stuff as well, that he's told me about. I'm not going to say them here. That's for him to say. But in order for this program to be successful, you have to hire people who are invested in it. And the only type of people who are really invested are either desperate or they're really, really bad people. And if they don't believe in spirituality or God or anything like that, then so much the better. Now, this is not to come down on any atheists. I can barely walk due to the DOW attacks. You know what? My knees get shot sometimes as well. My health was good 3.5 years ago. I hear that. It's it's not to poke holes on any atheists or anyone religious, or it doesn't matter what you are. It's going to be exploited in one way or another in order to torture you or in order to facilitate this fucking genocide anyway. It doesn't matter. But people who are actually practicing this evil stuff on us, they have to fit a certain criteria. I have no doubt in my mind that the people funding these programs believe in God and they think they're doing God's work, and that just makes it scarier. But they hire people who don't believe in God so that those people feel like they don't have anybody to answer to. But again, the people who are funding this, the people who are throwing their money behind this, they do believe in the God, and they believe that as long as they keep sacrificing people, that those gods or that God will remain on their side. So, yeah. But there's something else too. There's something else I was supposed to say. I can't think of it now. Yeah. So you heard it first from the US Navy. They call themselves defenseless against hypersonic missiles. Babe, you ain't defenseless if you've got directed energy weapons. You can literally fire them from anywhere. And, you know, you could put in a false IP address if you wanted in order to fire them. There'd be no way anybody could find you. They'd have to work very, very hard to find you. So I'm not buying that you're defenseless at all. And it really brought home what Paul Mooney said. As much as I don't really have time for Paul Mooney, alive or dead, he basically said that, you know, George W. Bush. Do you remember when George W. Bush talked about weapons of mass destruction and how Saddam Hussein had them? Yeah, I hear that, babe. Targeted individual 2013. I've been going live on my YouTube channel, broadcasting my life. Yeah, I hear that, babe. Same. But do you remember when George W. Bush talked about Saddam Hussein having weapons of mass destruction? Tony Blair talked about the same thing, weapons of mass destruction. And Paul Mooney must have said something messy like, yeah, you and your daddy because you bought the receipt. Who knew he was right? What weapons of mass destruction? Yellow cake? You've literally had directed energy weapons in your back pocket this whole time for years, been experimenting on your own citizens with them, and you want to talk about yellow cake? My guy, if you don't get the fuck up out of here. And Bill Clinton already apologized, as far as I know, for the unlawful experimentation on citizens with regards to directed energy weaponry. I keep meaning to find the clip. When I find the clip, I'll post it, but this has been an open secret for years, and the only people choosing not to believe it is, like, if you're not believing it, it's because you don't want to. And if you don't want to, that's your right, but you don't then get to pretend that you're a good person who cares about people. And that's the main problem that I have. It's not that people never believed me. It's not that people, you know, never believed me or never wanted to believe me. Is that you don't want to believe that people are being killed off, and you don't want to help do anything. But you know, you have the opportunity to help. You have the opportunity to do something. You don't want to do it, but then you still want to convince yourself that you're a good person. You're literally co-signing with people who have accused genocide victims of being psychologically unstable. I mean, some of us are because of the trauma. Let's be real. Some of us are, right? I know I've been, right? Because of the trauma and because of the torture. You want to side with the people that are using our psychological instability or making us out to be less stable than we actually are in order to cover up for these crimes. You want to side with those people, and then you want to turn around and convince yourself that you're a good person. Just admit that you don't care and go. I don't care people are being killed. I don't care. Just say it. Just say it. Don't give me that I don't believe, I don't know. You don't care. Just say that shit. I've always said that if these were sexual assault allegations with no, you know, with no proof, people will automatically believe it. Yeah. People are willing to believe and willing to take a chance on an individual doing something wrong. But when it comes to our own government, who are actually more likely to do something wrong, and not only that, they kill more people than any individual person could, they don't want to believe that, though. That's too big. That's too much. It's cowardly. And the thing is, why should I be surprised, though? They don't even have the courage to fucking admit that they don't really care about some strangers getting killed by weapons that nobody can really perceive like that. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I'm glad that women are believed when it comes to sexual assault, because 9 times out of 10 those things turn out to be true anyway. I'm glad about that. But when it comes to our own governments genociding people, like have nobody learned from history? Has no one learned from history? Has no one learned from history? The articles have been right there. The research has been right there. The paperwork's been right there. Yeah, cowards, without a doubt. And God knows how many people in defense, in those defense systems, the ones who have been in charge or creating those weapons, God knows how many of them are actual, like, legitimate arms traffickers. And in them private security firms as well. God alone knows how many of them might actually be fucking, like, legitimately dangerous criminals. Yeah. It's always by proxy, covertly, and from the shadows or the safety of a computer. I posted my video onto YouTube channel with a list of credible sources. Yeah, we do that all the time. And this is the thing. We post credible sources, nobody looks at it. But if we get stuff wrong, like I've gotten stuff wrong in the past, people make a fucking meal out of that. It is so fucking disingenuous. Some people say the government would never do that to its own citizens. I don't know where people get this from. How do people think a government is maintained? Sacrifices have to be made, which means some people have to fucking die. Again, learn from history. Learn from history. In order to maintain a working government, some people have to get axed. Like, the fucking politics is a dirty game. It might be a lesser version of economics, but it's a dirty game nonetheless. It's a dirty job. Like, people have to fucking die in order for fucking, governments to keep moving, keep flowing, to prevent overpopulation or hyperinflation. Some people have got to die. What do people think that governments won't kill us in order to do that? The fuck? Look at the fucking Tuskegee experiments. Like, it keeps repeating itself. Targeted Tony talked about the Tuskegee experiments where black people were deliberately infected with syphilis to test it out on us. And, Targeted Individual 2013 is saying that if we don't learn, history will repeat itself, and it already has. It continuously does. It continuously does. It continuously does. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I am thankful. I cannot tell you how thankful I am when somebody told me that this targeting stuff was going on. I am so thankful that I believed them. I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful that I was willing to lay my life on the line practically to do the right thing. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that. Imagine the side that I would have been on. Imagine the side that I would have been on. Those who still trust government deserve what's coming to them. I think anybody who doesn't listen to the vulnerable deserve what's coming to them, because the vulnerable are the ones on the ground. They're the ones who get everything first. And everything happens from the bottom up. So anybody who doesn't listen to the vulnerable, anybody who doesn't listen to the marginalized, anybody who doesn't listen to people on the fringes deserve what they fucking get. This is something a person has to go through themselves in order to believe it. That didn't happen with me, I didn't even know that I was being gang stalked. I didn't even know. I was gang stalked before I even knew what was going on. And yet when somebody told me that, gang stalking was happening, I believed them immediately because I saw the shit with my own eyes. I saw the shit with my own eyes. Like, it was difficult for me to say to this person, hey, you're crazy. I saw this shit. It was little things like, when this person was driving, there'd be all these crazy ass people trying to run them off the road. There'd be people brighting this person's car, like brighting us. Then when we got to the supermarket, everybody else was able to shop normally. But when this person was shopping, there were 2 or 3 staff looking at their fucking shopping. It was little things that made me think, maybe this person isn't lying. Or this person's got to be telling the truth, because what I'm seeing It don't make no fucking sense. It don't make no fucking sense. Like, what I'm seeing doesn't make any sense. This person has to be telling the truth. And sure enough, they were. Because next thing I know, the gang stalking happens to me more readily. It more readily happens to me. Now they start the gang stalking with me. They start the NLP with me. They start the gaslighting with me. They start the electronic. I think I've had electronic weapons fired on me since I was a kid. But they started getting a lot more obvious with their shit when I turned into being an adult. But I think that's a combination of me knowing about the gang stalking and trying to drive me crazy, and the fact that over the years, the funding when it comes to the military and when it comes to secret services or security services, the funding for that isn't there. So they've had to increasingly use amateurs. That's what I think happened anyway. What's weird is that I was mostly sober for most of my targeting, because I know they tried to write us off as crazy or blame our claims on the drugs or the mental illness. What's weird is that I'm reading Tony's comments, sorry. What's weird is that I purposely stayed sober. They do that. Like I said, I've been sick for a long time, and they use that in order to try to discredit my claims. But then the thing that I would do is that I'd throw the psychiatric people up trying to overdose and die. You caved in the last couple of months, bought cocaine, tried to overdose and die. I hear that. That's common, unfortunately. Suicide attempts are really common when you're being tortured like this. As for me, I'm sorry to bring it back to myself, Tony. I really do empathize with what you're saying. But it kind of ties in a way with what I've experienced with regards to the psychological harassment, and the way that mental health tried to turn around and say, yeah, you're crazy, and none of this is happening to you. I was mentally ill. I've been mentally ill for most of my life. In fact, my entire life I've been mentally ill, so that's nothing new. The thing that pisses me off is that just because I'm mentally ill, it automatically has to mean that I'm lying, meaning that even when I present research and evidence right in front of you, you're going to deny it on the count of my mental health diagnosis. That's bullshit. And that's exactly what happened. But the thing with mental health is that I always used to throw them off with simple questions. If I'm mentally ill, it will show on the brain exactly where, exactly which areas. Hang on a second. I'm going to tag this person in. Yeah, I'm tagging targeted 2013. And hi, sweetheart, how are you?
How are you? I just I'm probably going to do another video myself. I wanted to speak out as well. What I've been doing, I just wanted to sorry to cut you off and everything. I wanted to let people know to start passing out flyers, and I wanted to show you here.
Okay.
This is what I've been passing out to people in the neighborhood.
Okay.
To get the word out. And I have some custom-made business cards right here that I made these on Amazon. And I've been passing them out. Some people have been refusing them, but that's only because they know that, they're not supposed to know. They're not supposed to have that knowledge. And then I've been telling people, put signs in your windows, put them on the bumper stickers of your cars. Get the word out, and nothing's going to happen to these idiots, but at least you're making, people aware of what's going on, because, the perpetrators are kept on a very tight leash, so they're not allowed to know all that stuff. And that's what you're supposed to do, get it out there. So that was just one little tip I wanted to put out there, but.
Okay. Tony's on here. He's saying that I've heard Targeted Justice is a bogus organization created by perps. I don't know. Where did you hear that? Aren't you Targeted Justice?
isn't it just you, Sarah?
Huh? What's that?
Aren't you targeted justice?
My website is targetedassistance.org.
My apologies.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what I was saying before is that when it comes to the mental health over here, CMHT, they used to talk about the fact that I was paranoid schizophrenic. Now, paranoid schizophrenia, part of paranoid schizophrenia is damage to the CR1 part of the brain, right? So I said, listen, if I have paranoid schizophrenia, then you're going to have no problem putting my brain under a scan and seeing exactly what's been damaged up there, right? Because if you've got mental illness, then it's likely that you have some form of brain damage due to the hormonal imbalances in your brain. So you should be able to get that scanned and get that checked out. And they're like, no, you know, we're not going to do that. I'm thinking, well, how do you fucking diagnose somebody with paranoid schizophrenia? You have no evidence, no proof. We have evidence and we have proof that voice to skull is real because, you know, the US government have been talking about it. We have proof of directed energy weapons because the government have been talking about it, like today in that article with regard to the DEWs. We've have proof of that. We even have evidence that we've been scanned for chips. So we have all this evidence in our corner. But you, out of your infinite wisdom, in a profession that you admit is speculative, you want to turn around and accuse people of having paranoid schizophrenia because they hear voices, knowing good and goddamn well that's very easy to synthesize.
Right.
So you want to do that without a single shred of physical evidence, without a single shred of, you know, empirical evidence in any way to support your claims, and yet we're supposed to believe you. Yet when I say there are DEWs that exist, which Lockheed Martin have backed up, BAE Systems have backed up, God knows how many fucking defense systems have backed up. You know, there's years of research, decades of research made by other people on the subject. When I bring all of this to your doorstep, that's to be written off, and yet you can just call someone paranoid schizophrenic with no proof.
Wow. Yeah.
This is a long shot, right? But this is exactly why I ask mental health staff, listen, if you're going to say that shit about me, I want a written document that says if I prove to be right about this subject, that you were the one who said this person is wrong and this person is paranoid schizophrenic. I want it in writing. And guess what? They can never do it.
Right. The reason why they do that, and this is what I tell a lot of targeted individuals, a lot of new targeted individuals as well, because someone wrote me the other day and said, I'm new and I don't want to be, I'm afraid to speak out about this because I'm afraid people are going to call me crazy or mentally ill. And I said, well, don't tell your family about what's going on because they're not going to understand these, again, you know, like Tony was saying in the comments, no one's going to understand, or the people that are not non-targets are not going to understand what's going on until it happens to them. And the more we go into this and the more we're trying to explain what's happening, people are going to be like, damn, this is just crazy, or what the fuck are they talking about, or oh my God, you're weird, or something like that. And I tell people, when they're saying that we're mentally ill, when they're saying that we're crazy, psycho, take your meds, there's places for people like you. The reason why they say that is because it's to basically so that you're not believed. You're not taken seriously. You're overlooked. Because when we say someone is mentally ill or paranoid schizophrenic, people go, oh, okay, I understand. You know, don't pay attention to them. They're crazy. Oh, okay. And that is why they say that. It's basically to silence our voices so that we can remain quiet. But one of the girls was telling me, you know, she said that she's afraid to speak out. And I don't know how you guys would think about this. Why do people say, oh, I'm scared to say anything because my targeting is going to get worse if I open my mouth? You know, and now you know I'm a strong Black woman. I don't care. I mean, they've already done everything to me. I don't care what are you going to do? That you haven't, there's only like, what, 7 or 8 tactics that you just go in rotation? I've already been through it. I am not going to sit here and suffer in silence. I've never been the type of person to do that. I'm always going to speak my mind and call this shit out for what it is. Period.
Right.
You know,
Facts.
you can hate my guts. You can target. I mean, what are you going to do? Kill me?
Exactly.
I mean, I've already been through it, you know. So what else can you do?
With me, I have to admit, like, a lot of people used to say I was crazy as fuck anyway. So me talking about targeted individuals and stuff, it really wasn't going to make any difference to me. But as I mature more and more, and as I get to know more of this stuff, I realized that calling us paranoid schizophrenia is like just a lot more sinister than just, you know, just claiming we're crazy. That it's more than just writing us off. When you claim paranoid schizophrenia, it basically diminishes your admissibility of your evidence in court.
Right,
That's the first thing. The second thing is that if they decide that you're not competent enough, they can basically take over your entire life, your finances, everything. They can hold all that in trust for someone else, and that person controls everything that you do. So it's a dangerous road to go down. With me, I don't hold back on anything, for the simple reason that the truth will set you free. I don't really care about any of this. I don't really care what they do. But there is a legitimate, I never used to think the fear was legitimate, because I used to just think it was just people's opinions. But now I get, you know, the conservatorship abuse that happened with Britney, that can happen to any TI at any time. In fact, I think it actually happened to one of us. I don't want to speak too much on it, because we're not speaking, but you know, the conservatorship abuse that happened to Britney could literally happen to any of us at any time, because of that paranoid schizophrenic diagnosis, and because because people are so ready and willing to basically pin everything that we do as being mentally ill, because they want to cover up their shit.
Right, that's exactly
So
what they
it's a lot more sinister. It's so much more sinister than just they're calling me crazy. Like, these days, they can call me that. That's up to them.
Right.
You understand what I mean? I'm not the one fucking, you know, going along with people being murdered. So that ain't on me. So I ain't got to, that's not on me. It's on everyone else that don't want to do that shit.
This is what's so funny to me. They call us crazy. They call us paranoid, schizophrenic. Who's the one watching our every move? Who's following us to the grocery store? Who's watching us in our homes? Who's watching us while we take a shit and a piss and having sex? I mean, to me, that's the paranoia. When
exactly.
You exit out of your house and someone's right there watching you on their phone.
Projection.
To me, that's paranoia. Not us.
Tony, that's projection. Bang on the money.
We're living our lives, just going about our lives every day. And for those that are calling us paranoid schizophrenic and the ones that are saying that this program doesn't exist, a simple Google search will debunk all of that. You know, all you have to do is look it up. It's right there. You know, it's all
and they never want
on the internet, and it's up to you to find out about it. You know,
we're always the crazy ones, but they don't want to use common sense. Like,
right. Well,
you know what I mean?
Again, like I said, they're the ones that are paranoid, and then it's so funny how they recruit these people, because all they have to do is say, "Hey, I'm working for whatever," and show someone a badge, and they get you just like that. And people are working under the false pretense that they're keeping the community safe. Exactly. They're keeping the community safe, or they're getting a pat on the back, or some of the perps are getting paid. Some of them are threatened, tricked, or forced to participate. Some of them have already they're already criminals, and then the police look at them and say, if you don't participate in this, I'm going to make sure you get 30 years of prison. They go, oh, I don't want you.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to let people know about, because I just moved back to the States. I don't know if you've been following, but I moved back to Bellevue, Washington, to get more work done with the TI business and everything, because I have a duty and a mission that I'm trying to do. I just moved here, so 6.5 years of being homeless and on the streets and all that, and I've been finding a good place. And when I left to Vancouver, Canada, my gang stalking started immediately. I've already had people breaking in, marking up walls. What else have I done? I caught somebody in my apartment. You know,
Yeah,
a man.
you talk about that. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, somebody walked in here, and I thought it was my roommate, and it wasn't him because he was too. My roommate 5'9". This guy was like really, really short, and I said, excuse me. I said, can I help you? I was like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? Yeah, it was scary, and I have not been the same ever since. I've been locking my door, but it was already locked, but they stuck a key in there and came in.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, so it's been.
These people are sick. Like,
yeah. It has
what's
been.
wrong with them, man?
But everything is set up over here. I didn't choose this this place. They picked it for me. They forced me to come here. And
They do that.
yeah. And you remember I told you I'm Section 8 government assistant, so Section 8 housing, because I slept with rats and bats and cats and the whole nine.
Yeah.
I was, you know, Tony and I, you know, my roommate Tony and I, you know, we've been through a lot, and this is supposed to be a new start. And then on top of that, when I moved here, I was supposed to have furniture. I have no furniture. I'm just sleeping on a bed, you know, with no box spring, no, you know, it's just, I have no couch. I don't have no bedroom furniture. They promised me a $5,000 voucher. Then they said it was $800. And then absolutely nothing. One of the case managers, she took off and she left. And I don't know what to do. I have no furniture, and it's already a struggle right now. And people are like, "Oh, well, why don't you just get a job and get your own furniture?" I said, "Well, you really don't know anything about being gang stalker targeted, do you? You know how they do when they want to keep you down and keep you not working, and you know, because money equals freedom, and they don't want you to have that."
Yeah. Exactly.
So
exactly. What I've noticed with my own living situation is that I'm usually ejected from a building when it's apparent that I have too much control over the situation. That's happened like 3 separate times. The first time it happened was when I was living with my father, and these neighbors were harassing me. It was a young family. I'm pretty sure they were using electronic weapons at the time, although I have no proof of this.
Right.
Huh?
I was still telling him to bring me some water. I've got cotton mouth.
Okay. All right. So I don't know what that is, but that.
It's when you're
yeah.
when you start talking, you're like,
yeah.
Let me adjust my dentures.
Yeah. Yeah. You wear dentures?
No, I'm just joking.
Oh, okay.
You know, because people with dentures, they go,
You're going to say that shit because I'm going to take it literally. I'm going to take it literally. I'm not good with jokes. But anyway, yeah. So
someone will say hi to you.
Yeah. So, hey.
Say hi, Taylor.
Hi. Everyone. I want to introduce you to Sable. He's a very good boy, and he's a little bit excitable, but he's a very handsome doggo. So yeah,
That's my dog.
yeah, he's lovely. Yeah. So the first time that happened was when I moved in with my dad, and I was getting a bit too close to exposing his neighbors for harassing me because they've been harassing me constantly. The council wouldn't help me. They were basically saying, "Oh, you're mentally ill, get yourself some help," that shit. Then I moved into a shared housing situation with like 3 other people max. It was usually just 2 of us, but there's 3 other people max. And it got to a situation where, you know, it was like people moved in and out of that house because it had high turnover, right?
Right.
There was this one particular targeted individual towards the end of my time there that stalked me for 136 hours straight.
Wow.
No breaks, except to sleep for maybe 2 to 3 hours, and then they start up again. 136 hours they were stalking me for. So when it appeared that the stalker was losing control and I was gaining it, that's when I was moved. The
Right.
one time where that trend broke was when I almost had an altercation with a neighbor of mine. I'm not going to say exactly what I did,
Right.
but I got pissed off with somebody that I thought was harassing me from next door. But when I went over there, they weren't there. So I thought they were harassing me from next door, and there was a case being compiled on me based on the stuff that I actually did. So what I did was I just decided to get the fuck up out of there, because it was very, very evident that this person, not only was this person harassing me for the longest time, but they kept changing their story about when this person moved out. They kept changing their story about when they were there and when they weren't there. That was the first red flag. The second red flag is that they were immediately quick to jump on the paranoid schizophrenia excuse. So what led to me being in Brighton now was me getting the fuck up out of Dodge a couple of years ago.
Right.
I packed up all my shit and left. Now, this is where my relocation agents were really fucking stupid. I said, I want a surrender tenancy form, and I badgered them about it. I said, get me that fucking form. They got me the form. I wrote and signed it. Then I packed up most of the shit that I could pack up, and I fucking left. All right? Quick. Next thing I know, like the next day after I move out of London and come to Brighton, I'm getting phone calls from my family claiming that mental health are ready to kind of say that I've gone missing. Now, I let the housing association know that I was moving out. I didn't leave them a forwarding address, but I let them know that I was moving out, that I surrendered the tenancy, and that I was going to leave. Right? So they knew that I'd gone. But what they were doing was they were making out like they had no idea that I'd left. It's not that they didn't know where I was going. They made out they had no idea that I'd actually left. They didn't tell my father the truth. They didn't tell my grandmother the truth. So because I took control of the situation again, they tried to take it back and tried to get me back home to London. So and now they're doing the same thing here. Now the same thing is being done here. When I was losing control and having a breakdown on all the rest of it, they were happy with that. It didn't matter what circumstances were happening. As long as I don't get control of the situation, as long as I don't leave of my own accord, and as long as I don't stay of my own accord, as long as they can emotionally manipulate me, to try to get me to move in and out, that's what the gang stalking entails. They emotionally manipulate you into moving in or moving out when they want you to. It's not about what you want. There are things in here there are things in here that haven't been fixed. I don't know if that's part of the gang stalking. It's probably not, because the thing is, you do get people who are really, really busy, like when it comes to the plumbing or when it comes to stuff, you do get people who are genuinely busy. So I don't know if that's part of the stalking. But I know that, there's a lot of emotional manipulation and mind games when it comes to where I live, because the point is to have me lose control and to have them be in control. Remember, if I'm diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic, it doesn't matter whether it's erroneous or not. If they can prove I can't look after myself, or I can be pushed to the point where I can't look after myself, that means the government can swoop in or maybe even assign a guardian to me. That means I would lose complete control. I couldn't get any evidence out, couldn't do a fucking thing. But that's worst case scenario. The likelihood is that if they can prove that I can't really look after myself like that or regulate my emotions, then they could eject me.
Sorry about that. He doesn't know our new address, so he was asking me to write it down. That was my roommate Tony there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he hasn't memorized the address, so he lost his. What did you lose? He lost his wallet on the bus with his ID and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, so this area is a very nice area. It's a rich area, but I was hoping that maybe somebody would find it. Yeah, it's a beautiful area, but it's full of perps. And everywhere I go, there's neighborhood watch signs everywhere. So when I'm filming and I'm going live and I'm telling everybody when I see, because every time I leave, someone's on their phone, with the Bellevue Bellevue Police Department, you know, letting them know where I'm going. What else did they do? I think it was a week or so ago, I went grocery shopping. And this is what really makes me sad, is to see children participating in the harassment. And I don't blame the children because I know they don't know what's going on. It's the adults. But like, I was in a parking lot, and I think Tony was inside the grocery store, and I was waiting for him to come back, and there was a group of kids that were taunting my dog, doing this, doing that, doing that, you know. And the parents, you know, I couldn't get their attention. They were just casually walking away. You're letting your kids run wild and do stuff like that. And I knew that was what we were trying to do. And then this building used to be a motel. And so the hallways are very narrow. So I was going to take Saber out. And then there was a kid riding his bike, almost ran over Saber. And then I turned around, and the parents are nowhere to be found. So I can't go tell the parents because they're nowhere around. But they're telling their kids to do these kind of things. And I'm trying to figure out, I don't have any experience on how to address the issue with the parents because they're not around when this is happening, or they're walking away, and I can't approach them if you know, if my dog has been taunted, you know. So but that was another thing.
Children are very effective weaponized irritants. Like, imagine the children are taunting a dog and a dog snap.
Right.
That means the dog gets put down, nothing happens to the kids. The children are very effective. That's why it's like, I used to be very sort of gung-ho about protecting children, and you know, I don't want them hurt. I really don't. But that's where
but this is my thing is this. Okay, so your handler is telling you to tell your children to taunt a dog, especially his size. Okay, when the dog gets put down, your child is going to be in the fucking hospital, all mangled and in a coma or whatever the case may be. Is that really worth it?
But okay,
you're going to do that knowing that can happen. I may not have a dog no more, but your child.
This is the thing. Again, I get it. I don't want children to be hurt. I really don't.
No.
But that's where my sympathy ends, because at the end of the day, right? I can't hold space in my heart for kids who have been raised to hurt me. I can't hold space in my heart for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know it's not their fault, and I know like they're just acting on based on what they taught. But these days, I have a very limited empathy with kids right now. Like very, very limited, because at the end of the day, once you've taught them to be a certain way, then the empathy is up to you as a parent. And if you ain't got it, oh well, that ain't nothing to do with me. If you are gonna do stupid things to put your child at risk, if you're gonna teach your children stupid things, then whatever happens to them is on you. Now, again, ain't nothing happening over here, because the thing is, I'm not trying to be put in prison for, you know, and quite frankly, I don't want children to be hurt anyway. That's just how I feel. I don't want children to be hurt. But at the end of the day, I have a very limited empathy and patience with child parents. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I totally agree with that. I also wanted to say that when I moved in, I looked around. I did like a, what do you call that? Like an inspection, and I found lots of little small holes everywhere.
Yes.
And
I think I got something like that in my bathroom.
Yeah, I have. Let me see something here. There's a hole right up. Let me put this camera down. Right above the shower. You see that?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Why would there be a hole right there? But that's not even the only one.
I think maybe tiny cameras or tiny sensors. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because that's how they know when we come into the bathroom. You know, they hear the door open or whatever, they hear footsteps. But it's something. And I found these like everywhere. There's one by the door, and I just learned something today, and I talked about this in my podcast. If you move into a building wall, and if it's been lightly spackled, or if there's like, let me show you what I'm talking about so you can see. If it looks like this, you see, hold on, it's kind of hard to see. I gotta back up. Okay, you see that, all this right here, and look at this little, okay, if it looks like that, that means that they have put something there. And then
wiring.
Right. And then let me see, there was a hole. It's not hard to see. See that
yes,
hole?
I can see it. I see it, yeah.
There's another one. What do you want to talk about? See if I can zoom out. There's another one right there. Right? And then this is another one of my signs. When they break in, they'll see that. And then there's somewhere, let me see if I can find it, right by the door. I'm sure this is probably a sensor. So when the door opens, and then the perpetrator will be, so this is what it looks like on the outside when I film on YouTube. Okay. What? I just gotta go to the bathroom. Come here, Papa.
So he wants to go to the bathroom.
I think he's gonna go to the bathroom. Potty? He definitely has to go.
Okay, all right. Well, I think we should say goodbye at this point then.
Yes, absolutely. So let me turn my camera back around. It's always fun doing the live video with you. It's actually fun. I'm glad we can talk this way, because I might go live later for the CIA thing and just really protest and let everybody know it's CIA Day. I need to do my story again so people can see.
Okay.
So
can you let everybody know before you go where they can find you on YouTube, Facebook, your podcast?
You can find me. My name is Sierra Tavares Reyes. You can find me on YouTube under Sierra Tavares Reyes under Organized Stalking. That's my public page. That's where I do all the stuff. You can find me on YouTube, Targeted Assistance on YouTube, TikTok, Sierra Tavares Reyes, Twitter, Sierra Tavares Reyes, and then there's another website I'm on every day. It's called Quora, Quora, targetingtavares.quora.com.
Okay, thank you so much for joining me, Sierra. I always love talking to you. I love talking to you, seriously. It's so nice to, meet a relatively rational, logical thinking TI. It's so lovely, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need to add more people. I've been trying to get people to talk on my show on Twitter, but some people are really scared to talk about these things. I don't know why. I've been trying to get like an interview, a guest. I have a radio show.
Again, there's a lot to lose when we talk about this stuff. So it's understandable that some people might be scared. It's best to just ask people who ain't scared.
Right, right. I'll keep that in mind.
Exactly. Just ask people who ain't scared, man.
Right.
That's the best way around it, because, the fears are legitimate, but, there are some of us who are able to push past those fears, and that's okay,
Absolutely.
People will fight for their freedom in their own ways, but as long as we're all on the same page in what we're doing this for, that's the main thing.
Absolutely. That goes a long way.
So anyway, you guys know where to find Sierra Tavares Reyes. I'd like to thank her for joining me. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to talk to you. And Puppy, where's Puppy? You got to say goodbye to Sable as well.
Saber. Come here, Papa. Come. Come here. Someone wants to say bye. Look here.
Bye.
Say bye.
Where is he? Papa. I'd like to say goodbye to this handsome boy as well. Bye-bye, Sable.
Say bye.
Bye. Take care. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.